7 days. That is exactly how much time I had before my bank account hit zero and my life became a statistical casualty of the American dream. Most of you are breathing that same thin air right now, pretending that your next paycheck is a solution when it's actually just a bandage on a sucking chest wound. I wasn't just broke. I was 1 week from the street broke, and the most pathetic part was that I was earning a decent salary. If you're making money but still feel like you're drowning, you don't have an income problem, you have a cash flow management crisis. Today, I'm stripping away the lies and showing you the 4 brutal steps that pulled me back from the edge. This isn't a bedtime story. It's a survival manual for the modern matrix. 1. The brutal honesty massacre. The biggest thing holding you back right now is your own cowardice. You're afraid to look at your bank balance because you know it's a crime scene. I was the same. I avoided the statements, ignored the red letters, and hoped that luck would save me. Newsflash, hope is not a strategy. The turning point for me was a Friday night when I realized I couldn't even afford a gallon of milk. I had to perform what I call a brutal honesty massacre. I sat down and wrote every single debt on a piece of paper. No guessing, no rounding down, every penny. When you see the numbers staring back at you, the fear turns into something else. It turns into anger. And anger is a much better fuel for cash flow management than hope will ever be. 2. The subscription assassination. We are living in an era of death by 1,000 cuts. I tracked my spending for 7 days and discovered I was bleeding nearly $300 a month on sneaky subscriptions, free trials that turned into monthly bills, gym memberships I never used, premium apps that did nothing for my life. These companies bank on your laziness. They know you're too busy being tired to check your statements. I spent 1 hour making phone calls and clicking cancel like a madman. That was $300 of instant cash flow injected back into my life. If you want financial success, you have to stop letting these corporate vampires suck you dry while you sleep. 3. The pay yourself first revolution. Most of you follow a formula for failure. You get paid, you pay the landlord, you pay the electric company, you pay the grocery store, and then you try to save whatever is left. Here is a spoiler, there is never anything left. I had to flip the script or die trying. The moment I got paid, I moved 10%, just a small 10%, to a separate account before I did anything else. I paid my future self first. It felt like I was losing money at first, but then something strange happened. I learned to live on the 90%. I adjusted. The human brain is a master at surviving on what it has. If you don't automate your financial discipline, you will always be a slave to your bills. 4. The scarcity to abundance rewire. I used to say, I can't afford that, so often it became my identity. That is a victim's language. Every time you say, I can't, your brain shuts down. It stops looking for solutions. When I was 1 week from broke, I changed the question. I started asking, how can I afford that? This isn't some woo-woo magic. It's practical psychology. Instead of being a victim of my circumstances, I became the director of my story. I stopped looking for safe jobs and started looking for income streams. I realized that personal finance is 80% behavior and only 20% math. You don't need a better calculator, you need a better mindset. Stop. Before we go to the next step, let me hit you with something that will piss you off. Your emergency fund is not for emergencies, it's for freedom. Most people see $1,000 in savings and think, great, I can fix my car. No, that $1,000 is the first brick in the wall that keeps the world from telling you what to do. If you view your savings as a repair fund, you'll always have repairs. If you view it as freedom capital, you'll guard it with your life. 5. The trap of the lifestyle upgrade. The moment I started seeing a little bit of extra cash, the urge to spend it was overwhelming. I felt I deserved a nice dinner or a new pair of shoes. This is the deserve it death spiral. I saw my neighbor buy a new truck and felt that familiar sting of jealousy. But then I realized that truck was a $30,000 anchor around his neck. I chose to stay in my beat-up car and keep my financial success invisible. The top 1% don't look like the top 1%. They look like the guy next door, while their bank account looks like a fortress. Stop buying things to impress people you don't even like. 6. Abandoning the academic lies. School taught me how to be a great employee, but it left me completely illiterate in cash flow management. I had a degree, but I didn't know the difference between an asset and a liability. I thought my car was an asset. I was wrong. My car was a liability that lost value every time I turned the key. I had to unlearn everything the system told me. I started reading books on the 1% and realized they don't work for money, they make money work for them. If you're waiting for the government or your boss to make you rich, you're going to be waiting until you're dead. 7. The shocking power of tracking. I used to think I knew where my money went. I was wrong. I started using a simple app to track every single cent. What I found was shocking. I was spending $400 a month on convenience fast food coffee and last-minute grocery trips because I was too lazy to meal prep. That's nearly $5,000 a year. That's a vacation. That's an investment account. Tracking isn't about restriction. It's about awareness. You can't manage what you don't measure. If you aren't tracking, you aren't doing cash flow management. You're just gambling with your life. 8. Growing the offense. You cannot just save your way to a billionaire status. Survival is about defense, but wealth is about offense. Once I had my $1,000 buffer, I stopped focusing on saving and started focusing on earning. I took a side hustle, I learned a new high-value skill, and I looked for ways to add value to the marketplace. Money follows value. If you are only trading your hours for dollars, you have a ceiling on your life. Break the ceiling. Use your saved cash flow to buy assets that generate more cash flow. That is the only way to win the game. 9. The psychology of the buffer. Having that first $1,000 in the bank changed the way I walked. It changed the way I talked to my boss. When you aren't 1 week from broke, you don't act from a place of desperation. Desperation leads to bad decisions. Financial discipline gives you the power to say no. No to a bad job. No to a predatory loan. No to a lifestyle you can't afford. That buffer is your psychological armor. Without it, you are naked in a world full of predators. 10. The final reality check. The journey from debt to freedom isn't a straight line. It's a series of choices you make every single day. I was 1 week from broke, and today I am the director of my financial destiny. The only difference between me then and me now is that I stopped believing the lie that I was a victim. I took total responsibility for every dollar that entered and exited my life. Most people will never achieve this because they would rather be comfortable and broke than uncomfortable and wealthy. Which one are you? Financial freedom isn't a far-off dream for the lucky few. It's a choice made by those who are tired of being slaves to the hamster wheel. The 4 steps are simple. Face the massacre, assassinate the leaks, pay yourself first, and rewire your brain. If I could do it with 7 days left on the clock, you have no excuse. This is the blueprint. The math is easy. The behavior is the battle. If you're done with the old story and ready for your own trip to wealth, hit that subscribe button right now. We don't do safe advice here. We do reality. Comment below with the word "don't" if you are committing to tracking your spending for the next 30 days. No excuses. And if you want to know why your dream home is actually a financial parasite keeping you in the matrix, watch this next video. Take control of your cash flow management today, or someone else will. I'll see you in the next one.